There are black people out there that want all of us other black people to be racist. Yeah, I said it. I'm going to leave it for a second just for it to marinate. Then I'm going to repeat it again for the people in the back who didn't hear me say it. There are black people out there that want all of us to be racist. Now that it has marinated for the second time, let me get into the video and break down what I mean and what I've seen and noticed. So I've noticed in my own videos, comments coming from other people within Africa and some black people within South Africa. And then I've seen a few black people making videos within Africa and also outside of Africa. And when I listen to these people's opinions, when I listen to these people's teachings or things that they, or lifestyles that they want every black person to live, it sounds very racist. And as South African, as a South African black person, especially, I think we tend to be more victim of us being seen or sort of labeled as sellouts or even cowards for living in harmony with, as much as we possibly can, because we are trying, in South Africa with white people. And before I break down even more, there's a certain belief that black people can't be racist. And I'm not sure where that thinking comes from. I think it might come from America, because I think American leftists are the most stupid people on earth. So something of that level of stupidity must have come from them, because I don't see it coming from within Africa or South Africa. And if it's from within South Africa, that's very disappointing. It means we really do also have some very brain dead people. Offense intended. Now we go back to the black people who want the rest of us to be racist. We black people can be racist to white people or Indian people or even Asians. I see a lot of racism by black people in almost all walks of life. Not every day, but very often. Often enough for me to see that it is actually a problem. And I think the reason black people feel so free to be fully racist and unashamedly so is because of the history of black people globally, not just in South Africa. I'm saying globally. We know that there was a scramble for Africa during colonialization, and certain countries would choose locations in Africa where they would choose to rule. We know that we had the Belgians whom sent a monster to the Congo, and he murdered millions of people. Millions of people. Too many people to count. And we say millions, and I think the number is around 18 million. But I think they were just being a bit modest about the number of people this man and the people he went with to the Congo actually killed. They were just being modest with the numbers. We have slavery, and these being transatlantic slavery movements. Hold on. I don't know how to record when people are passing by. I'm just going to let these people pass by. It's in the yard. I don't know if they can hear me. But anyway, transatlantic slavery. We had slavery happening from all parts of Africa. We've had a bit of slavery happening from South Africa and going outside, but it was mostly coming from outside of South Africa into South Africa, where it would be Indians and there would be some Asian people being brought into South Africa to work on sugarcane fields and other hard labors that the colonizers wanted. Because for the most part, Southern Africans were just fighting. They were not having it all. Maybe they gave up when apartheid began, but they were fighting. They fought for a very long time, so slavery was not so easy. For other parts of Africa, it was also a bit simpler for slavery to happen, because you're not gonna like this, because before the colonizers came in, black people were already slaving each other. and selling people as slaves. So part of that might have made it simple, for example, the American slave trade to happen, because they came into West Africa and they found that there's already a slave trade that is already booming. There's monarchies, there's dynasties built upon slavery. Their wealth depends on slavery. So, okay, we look at such histories, the atrocities committed by white people to black people. That's a lot. There's just too much to speak about. Okay, but when we are in 2024, our struggles are a bit different. We never forget the past. We do not ever forget our history. Similar to the Jews who, for generations, I think for thousands of years, they were looked down upon by many societies, especially if you look at deeply Christian or even maybe Arab societies where they were looked down upon and as greedy people and so forth. They were the bankers of the world. And then we have what happened during the Holocaust. The Jews will never forget that history. They will never let go of that. They will continue making documentaries, movies, series, retelling the very same stories differently over and over and over again, because they will never forget their history. And to a certain extent, and they call this anti-Semitism, but to a certain extent, the world has been afraid to call out Israelites because of how recent the history is. But the struggle of black people is also very recent, okay? I acknowledge that. I'm very well versed and knowledgeable about all of these things, our history. And with me knowing our history, I am still incapable of being racist. And because I'm incapable of being racist, other racist black people look at me as a coward. They look at me as a sellout. They look at me as someone who, I don't know, wants to benefit something from white people. Maybe, I don't know, them hire me for a job or what. I'm self-employed. And to a very, very large extent, I don't need white people in my life to survive. I don't need white people to thrive as an entrepreneur. I don't need them. I'm already doing it. I'm growing. And the growth will be more, will be bigger. We are hustling here, Baba. Right? I've mentioned that. But that doesn't mean that I will ever be racist to white people. I cannot just hate the whole nation of white people, all white people generally, just because. Just because, NJ, they are white. Nah, I will not hate Indians just because. No, I will not hate Arabs just because. No. Actually, for me to hate someone, that's a very strong emotion. Like, why would I spend so much energy in hating another person? You spend, I think, in my opinion, as much energy as you do loving someone when you hate someone. And of course, we have here in South Africa places like Orania where it's a white-only town. And I think it's not the last one in South Africa. There's going to be more. And we have very large disparity between the middle class, the poor, and the super rich. And the super rich, for the most part, in South Africa are white people. And we cannot deny that. And we have very few black people right there at the top. And when you get to those levels, it stops being about race and just becomes more about class. But I'm at the level where it's not about class. I can't be a classist because I'm not an elite in the country or wherever. I could fall within the entry level of elites in any given township because I think I am. Looking at the kind of money that I'm able to make for now, because it's going to be more, because I'm going to be rich as fuck. I told you, miss. So, with that in mind, one would expect that all black people are not going to like white people because most black people are poor and most white people live a more comfortable life. And I'm saying most white people. If you are a white person watching my content and you love the content, I really appreciate you. But you also have to be able to acknowledge the fact that white people live a much more comfortable life in comparison to black people. Yes, there are some that don't live a very comfortable life, but exceptions to the rules. These are exceptions to the rules, and therefore we don't look that as how things are normally. Okay, let me not pull statistics out of my ass. I wanted to say 7 or 8 out of 10 black people are poor, but that would be statistics from out of my ass. So I don't want to do that. But if we look at the statistics, it will show that the poorest of the poorest in this country are black people and colored people. But very, very, very low at the bottom are black people. And it sounds and feels as though there's some black people that want to racially divide the rest of black people with other races. And in my opinion, mostly it seems like it's coming from the political elite. If not the political elite, the racist Pan-Africanists. Because when I learned about Pan-Africanism, I wouldn't say they are about racism. No. And my knowledge didn't go so deep in, I'll be honest, because I lost interest very quickly. I was like, this is not a life for me. No way. But a lot of black racists truly believe that black people cannot be racist. They truly believe that in them being racist towards other races, it is justifiable or justified. In fact, they feel entitled to it. If you look at figures like Ifatunde, what's his name? Amo? What? I'm forgetting his name. We must stay focused. What's his name again? Umar Johnson, man. The new one. What is the new one? But it's Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm not going to call him a doctor because how are you so knowledgeable as a psychologist or whatsoever and still be so stupid? I have no respect for that. So, yeah, man. Like, there's too many black people out there that want the rest of us to be racist, and that is not going to happen. And I'm very glad that in this day and age, more and more people are waking up. And more people waking up, it's not just black people, it's also on the white side of things. Because I know white people who have told me straight up that I grew up in a racist family, and everything I was ever taught by my family is completely wrong. So wrong that it made them question their own existence and everything that they ever believed. At the gym, sometimes I also meet young boys, like during school holidays, rugby players, big boys, you know how big Afrikaners are. And they'll be asking me, do you play rugby as well? I'm like, no. Like, okay, you have these big thighs, you have big calves. I thought you play rugby. Can you train me so that I can have strong legs like yours? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And in conversation, eventually, and Afrikaners are bad in English, yo. Okay, I'm sorry for laughing, but Afrikaners are bad in English, yo. Yes, yes. And yeah, okay, so I'm sort of learning Afrikaans. I can't fully communicate, but I can understand here and there. And some of these kids will tell me that, look, man, as I'm training with you, every time I see you here in the gym, as much as it is 15 to 30 minutes, sometimes if I'm lucky and I arrive early, because I arrive early at the gym, 45 minutes, things that I learn from you are so different from what I'm taught at home. And in fact, at home, they didn't want me to come to this gym because as much as it is a white gym, there's a lot of black people. They wanted to build a gym. I go to a school where there's very few black people that we never interact with. In fact, they want to take me to a homeschooling wara, And their opinions at that young age are drastically changing as they interact with people. And just to close off the video, all that really needs to happen, we will never solve this problem, okay? But to help mitigating it for those who do not have it in them, all that needs to happen is for us to interact with each other. You'll remember in the video where I spoke about the fact that I used to think that all white people are racist, or just literally just saying not all white people are racist. And my experience opened my eyes because I had more interactions with them. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me know what you think. Let's have a conversation. I'll see you in the next one. Salute.